Pro-choice or pro-life. These categories represent so many people who feel strongly about abortion. Pro-life believers are only considering one thing when expressing their views on abortion: the fetus. There is much more to consider when deciding whether abortion should be legal or not. As a woman here in the United States, I've seen firsthand that other people think that they have the right to decide what we get to do with our lives and our bodies. I'm here to tell you today why abortion is every single woman's choice to make on her own and why it's necessary in our society. Women have the right to decide what happens with their own body and with their lives. This is what it means to be pro-choice, believing that the choice is up to each woman. These rights have not come easily and have been challenged constantly by the government and other citizens. There have been many landmark cases in the U.S. Supreme Court that decided the fates of abortion laws and the rights of women. In 1970, a pregnant woman sued the state of Texas to challenge the constitutionality of a state law that prohibited abortion except to save the life of the mother. This became the infamous case of Roe v. Wade. In 1973, the Supreme Court majority released a ruling in favor of Roe. The majority overturned the law in Texas and 29 other states with similar laws. These laws, per the majority, were unconstitutional by violating the 14th Amendment. The Supreme Court then created rules limiting the legislation that states could enact on abortion. Here are the rules that they enacted. Here's the first trimester rules, the second trimester rules, and the third trimester rules. In 1992, Planned Parenthood v. Casey, the Supreme Court reaffirmed their ruling on Roe v. Wade. The only change was that the states could not enact laws regulating abortion. The states could enact laws regulating abortion, but only if they did not create a substantial obstacle to obtaining one. The Supreme Court and women fighting for their rights under these unfair laws know that abortion is necessary to our society. Abortion is necessary for women's lives, their health, and for the already overwhelming number of unwanted children. Women and most adults in general know what they can handle responsibly in their lives. Having children is very costly. Per a 2010 USDA report, the average middle-income family will spend roughly $12,000 on child-related expenses in the baby's first year of life. Not being able to afford a child is a valid reason for getting an abortion. It isn't fair to the child to live in poverty. According to the National Center of Children in Poverty, about 15 million children in the United States, 21% of all children, live in families with low income below the federal poverty threshold, a measurement that has been shown to underestimate the needs of families. Research shows that on average, families need an income about twice that level to cover basic expenses. Using this standard, 42% of children live in low-income families. Some women also decide that abortion is needed because of their partner, job, or living situation. They're simply not ready to raise a child. Here are several graphs from the Guttmacher Institute, a leading research and policy organization committed to advancing sexual and reproductive health and rights in the United States and globally. This is about women who get abortions, U.S. women who have abortions. By age 45, about half of American women will have unintended pregnancy, and nearly 1 in 3 women will have an abortion. Here are their marital statuses, their ethnic backgrounds, and some other interesting facts like 58% of those women are in their 20s, 6 in 10 already have a child, and 69% are economically disadvantaged. Pregnancies can also be terminated because of health issues with the mother or the baby. Occasionally, women are faced with having to choose an abortion due to a pre-existing medical condition or one that was brought up during pregnancy. These conditions include things like cancer, heart disease, diabetes, autoimmune disorders, HIV, AIDS, or other STDs. Abortion can be the choice of some parents when they find out the baby has a serious birth defect. Amniocentesis is a procedure performed by a pregnant woman's doctor between the 14th and 20th weeks of pregnancy. It detects any abnormalities with the fetus. Abnormalities like Down syndrome, trisomy 18, spina bifida, muscular dystrophy, cystic fibrosis, sickle cell disease, or Tay-Sachs. If the parent decides that to bring these children to the world without being able to or even wanting these children, they could be added to the already numerous children in the system. Children's Rights, a foster care rights organization, states that on any given day there are approximately 415,000 children in foster care in the United States. In 2014, over 650,000 children spent time in foster care. On average, children remain in foster care for nearly 2 years, and 7% of children in foster care have been there for 5 or more years. Here are some statistics from the U.S. Administration of Children and Families and the U.S. Department of Justice about the U.S. foster care system. This is from 2010, so in that year there was 408,000 children in foster care. Girls in foster care pregnant by the age of 19 was 50%. Prison inmates who were once in the foster care system was 74%. Young adults incarcerated within 2 years of aging out of the system was 50%. And death row inmates who were former foster care children was 80%. If abortion were not allowed in the United States, there's no telling how much higher that number would be. There's a reason why abortion is in the headlines and at the forefront of our political races. America is divided at its core. They do not agree on abortion, and those that do not agree about that abortion should be a choice for every woman are called pro-life. Pro-life supporters believe that abortion is murder and therefore wrong. Americans against abortion feel that the fetus should have a right to life, and it is not the woman's right to choose that. Most Americans who believe abortion is wrong are more likely to be Republican and more religious than those who are pro-choice. Here are some graphs from the Pew Research Center supporting those arguments. On this graph, we have on this side abortion should be illegal in all or most cases, and legal in all or most cases. As you can see, the more conservative and Republican they are, they believe it should be illegal, and the more liberal or democratic they are, they believe it should be legal. And on this graph, this is the people who are religious, and the blue part is they believe that abortion is morally wrong. The more religious people are, the more that they believe it's morally wrong, and the less religious they are, they believe it is not as morally wrong. The clash between the views on abortion have been ongoing in the U.S. since Roe v. Wade in 1970. 46 years later, the topic is still in the spotlight, but more and more Americans are starting to lean in the pro-choice direction. Abortion does not need to be the first choice for birth control. We need to make a call for action in our public schools for reform of their sex education. This will lead to a smarter, healthier generation that knows the truth about sex and the consequences of having unprotected sex. Abortion needs to be maintained and protected here in the United States. There are many reasons as to why a woman would want to have an abortion, and all of them are valid. Our country has given us a set of rights and laws they believe will protect us and give us our independence. Any bill or action to take away this right from women cannot be passed or allowed unless we as a country want to move backwards instead of forwards. Thank you.